I'm Adam Geller, founder and CEO of Edthena, and I'm joined today by Sharon Robinson, the president of AACTE. That's the American Association of Colleges for Teacher Education. Thanks so much, Sharon, for joining me today.
Oh, well, thank you. I enjoy the opportunity to talk about teaching and technology.
Absolutely. Well, before we jump in, I think a place where I'd like to start is learning more about you. A lot of folks know you as the president of AACTE, but what's your background? What context do you bring to this as an educator?
Well, I was a classroom teacher for about 12 years, some of it in Lexington, Kentucky, and some of it in the overseas dependent schools on an Air Force base in Bitburg, Germany. So I have taught English for the most part, and my absolute favorite teaching assignment was in junior high school or middle school, believe it or not, and it was exciting every day working with these young adolescents, and it was also very humbling every day working with them to help them express ideas and come to grips with ideas and to recognize that their ideas were important. So I bring a passion for learning to the work here at AACTE, and it's a passion that I think I've held all my life.
Well, I can identify with your passion for the middle schoolers. I was a middle school science teacher myself, so I don't think you're crazy.
It does take a special orientation to engagement, and you certainly have to respect that they are in many ways in charge of whether they learn or not. And so, kind of getting in sync with them is the challenge of the teacher. And maybe the reason, you and I liked it is that we would be willing to listen. And sometimes I think teachers come to the process with a passion for the discipline a bit more out of balance than the passion that you have to have for the learner.
Well said. Well, in your role thinking about teacher education, there's a lot changing right now. What has you most excited about some of the shifts underway to becoming a more practice-focused teacher education kind of process?
Adam, I would describe it by saying that I believe that as we become more practice-focused, we build the profession in a much more authentic way than is even possible through the more high-profile political and policy gestures. I mean, the best way I think we can make our case for support of authentic learning and high-quality learning for all students is by demonstrating that we know what that is and we know how to make it happen in various contexts and in various situations. So the more we work together to create candidates who are practice ready and classrooms that are ready to utilize that practice to the maximum extent is the degree to which we actually see improvements in student learning. So otherwise it's nothing but a hollow campaign slogan. And so I think that the degree to which we are working more in sync to make sure candidates benefit and learn within real practice situations, and we work to make those situations places where real important learning developments can occur for our candidates and for the students in those classrooms, we're getting the job done. So it's almost like, we're doing something together that was a challenge separately. Our individual parts were not getting done as well as we can separately, as we can kind of make this whole larger enterprise much more achievable, much more beneficial to students, whether they're candidates to become teachers or pre-K-12 learners. It just doesn't matter.
What role do you think video platforms like Edthena have to play in this shift to becoming more practice-focused?
I believe that this is where we have to say, okay, break it down. Practice is the skill implementation or skilled utilization of what you know. And what you know might be impressive theoretically and even impressive on certain kinds of assessments. But if you're not applying what you know to get the job done, as in supporting student learning, then what you know is not quite hitting the mark. And so I think platforms like Edthena help our candidates view their actual work, their actual practice, and reflect on it as they are in the program, reflect on it with all kinds of scaffolding and support and ways that help them document what they're seeing, acknowledge what they're seeing, and work on it. It's like having the capacity for coaching on skill development, which is what practice is. Practice is the skill of applying what you know to get the job done, whether it's teaching, whether it's medicine, whether it's law, architecture. So you've got to have the opportunity to reflect on a real representation of what you know how to do. And I think tools like Edthena create the potential of that kind of reflection and learning that extends the capacity to learn.
Yeah, it was said to me recently by someone that so often we've relied on the anecdotes of practice, and funny how finally we can use the evidence of practice to actually talk about the teaching.
Exactly. And I think that the exciting part for me is that we would be developing in our candidates the habit of learning. And I think the more explicit our candidates are as teachers in displaying the habits of learning to their students, I believe you are more authentic with them as a learner. So it is, it's almost like establishing a rapport with those middle school students. You got to be real. And I think it helps our candidates always keep in mind that it takes courage to be a learner, because they have to be willing to see themselves doing it not as well as they might want to, but knowing there's no way to get to that goal unless they know what to focus on and how to change.